Welcome to the Chaos Commitment. We're Jared and Courtney.
Around here, commitment doesn't mean everything's perfect. It means we show up for each other, even in the chaos. Welcome back to the Chaos Commitment. I'm Courtney. This is my husband, Jared. We like to talk about nothing.
We talk about a lot of great things.
We talk about a lot of great things.
Today we're talking about generational takeaways.
Yeah, I really wanted to shift the focus from generational trauma, which is, I feel like, a very thrown around term right now, especially
Yeah, it seems
in
common, doesn't it?
society. Yeah, and I kind of wanted to shift the focus away from generational trauma. Not to say that some people don't experience that, and people who grow up in abusive homes, people who have really toxic relationships with their families. Of course, that is out there. It happens. It's not to be ignored.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's not to take it away.
Yeah, it's not to take away from people who experience abuse in their home or toxic relationships in their family, but I do feel like we as a society have kind of come into this, like, who can I blame for the way that I am kind of mentality. And
Ooh.
so generational trauma has become like a very heightened word, at least to me.
But
So
if we're not going to focus on the trauma, what do we focus on? Like that's the best thing.
the trauma?
The generational trauma, isn't that what you just said?
No, I don't think that's the best thing. I think that at least in our situation, maybe we're lucky, maybe we're naive to what other people have experienced, but I think that our older generations, the generations before us, did incredible work, and we just want to bring attention to that also. That
Have you ever heard like maybe the older generations, like when they compare to like their parents and they're like, well, my father went to work all day and never talked to his wife. At least I come home and say hi and let you know I love you.
yeah.
I mean, like, but I think there's a takeaway there in that we're improving, right? Like the goal is to improve,
Yeah.
and it's not to say we're better than the past, but it's saying I want to improve on myself to make my relationships better moving forward.
Yeah, so we proposed our question to our launch party guests, which was really, really fun for us to be able to open it up to others, hear other people's responses. So we're going to share just a few that were submitted that night. There were so many that we loved. We wish we could share them all. So we're going to get into our question response, and then we're going to share some of our guests' response with you also.
All right. So I'll read the question. What we left with last time. What's one positive value or tradition from your family that you want to carry forward in your relationship? So what I put was playing cards at grandma's.
Mm.
So it was more about the quality time, but it seems like the whole family would often come together at my grandparents' house and we would play cards for hours.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't about playing cards. It was about us all being together.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, I'm sure.
Yeah. I put when I was a child, adolescence, and even into early adulthood, my dad could always give us a look that would get us to smile. And he wouldn't really need to say anything. He would just say our name, and we knew that that was what was coming. We just couldn't help ourselves but to smile. And I think I really love that because it relieved like any kind of pressure to like tell him what was going on or suppress those feelings. He wasn't looking for us to suppress those feelings. It was almost just like an icebreaker to help lighten the mood in the room. And there were no expectations beyond that to say, Courtney, why the face? Courtney, what's going on? Courtney, why are you so stressed? It was literally just Courtney. And then he would look at you and like get you to smile no matter what the circumstances were. And I know he did this with my other siblings also. And I don't know, there's just a lot of power in that and something that I always remember. I hope that I can do something similar with our kids. Like, I'm not looking for you to give me anything. I just want to know that you're okay. And if you want to give me something beyond that, I'm happy to hear about it. But yeah, it was just almost like an icebreaker, a way to lighten the mood, a way to be like, I know things feel really heavy, whatever it is, but there's still a lot to be grateful for here, and there's a lot to smile about.
So have you done that with me or the kids?
No,
You haven't?
no, I don't know. Have I? Like, writing this out is when it kind of came to my attention of, I mean, I remember this from a child into, like I said, a young adulthood. My dad always had like this superpower to be able to do that, not just with me, but with my siblings. Like it was almost like tickling. Like you don't want to laugh when you're being tickled. You can't help yourself. Like you literally just have to submit to being happy and laughing when somebody tickles you, which can be a frustrating thing. But I feel like that was something my dad had a superpower in, of like, I don't remember him ever saying like smile, like have something to smile about. Like nothing like that. It was always just like, look at me. And he had a look about him and he could get you to smile no matter what the circumstances around it was. And he wasn't looking for anything beyond that.
Mm.
Like, not like, be happy about this already or tell me what's going on. It was just, I don't know how to explain it, I guess. It was just a way to lighten the mood in the room or break the ice a little bit, break the tension.
Yeah, you're one that you don't have a poker face. So I could see him doing that with you.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the curious face, right?
Yeah.
Just like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm really happy we talked about that.
Yeah.
Something to think about as we move forward with our
Okay.
kids and each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. You go ahead.
It was so fun to read everybody's. I hope we get more in the future. I hope that we can propose these questions in a way where listeners do want to submit them just anonymously, because I did love getting to know some of these people, even if they didn't put their name on it,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of get an idea of where people were thinking when they heard these questions, because we do think about them. We are careful with how we choose them, and
It does seem like in our question, what's one positive value or tradition from your family you want to carry forward
Mhm.
in your relationship? It seems like most people focused on like the traditions for children,
Yeah,
which there were a ton of good ones,
yeah.
but we narrowed it down to these four. So go ahead and read what you got.
Staying married through the thick and thin, growing old together, getting together for holidays with the family keeps everyone closer. And the other one I have is to realize it's okay to be upset and angry, then make a commitment to be better. I loved that.
All right. Date night for everyone in the family. One-on-one time with each other is important to me, and scheduling the dates ensures that you get that time together, either as a spousal relationship or with each individual child.
I love that. I think that's really special. And you've got to really witness that this summer because you took each of our kids to Lagoon multiple times with the season pass. So you really got to experience that with our older kids, that one-on-one time. So it's really
Yeah,
special.
I'll accept Kano, I guess.
Yeah. But Kano got time with me while you had the others.
Well, Kano's had a lot of time with me too.
Yeah.
All right. The other one, always find each other when leaving or coming home. Each person gets a hug and a kiss, hello and goodbye, with name being said.
Wow. That's so incredible.
I like that one a lot. I try to do that every time we leave
Yeah.
our children with someone else. I'm not going to wake all the kids up at 5 o'clock in the morning when I leave for work.
Yeah.
Despite how much I want to, it might make a hard morning for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is important to use their name and just let them know. I'm going to think about you. I'm going to miss you. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
As long as it's genuine, right? Like, you have to feel it to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for these responses and many, many more. Hopefully we get more in the future. We'll have to start putting them more on social media so we can get some responses because we love when people will share them with us. It's really special.
As we get a couple more episodes in, I think we will be able to share that.
Mm-hmm.
Even if, like, towards the end of the season, we're going back and we're looking at comments that people are leaving of,
Yeah.
I do this, or whatever it is for the question.
Yeah,
And that'll be
because
fun. I look forward to that.
yeah, we have so much to learn from others also. So it's really fun.
Oh, you don't have all the answers?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me neither.
So I think what really inspired this episode is the reel that I sent you with the little lines of glasses. I'm going to explain it the best way that I can, and hopefully we can really envision it, but maybe I'll be able to find it if we go back in our messages. Basically, there was a line of glasses to symbolize the each different generations, and the first one had a lot of Coke in it and was pouring into the next generation, pouring into the next generation. But then at some point, a glass of water poured over the Coke so much that it overfilled until the water going, or the liquid inside, was completely clear. And then every cup going after that was clear, 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 clear. And at first I really loved it because I was like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. You have the power to really create something beautiful moving forward. But then after we talked about it more, I think we kind of came to the realization that our parents didn't just do Coke, they didn't just do everything terrible. There is a lot of value in the things that they gave us. And to imply that we have the power to only put water in and completely change all of our generations below us, it's an unrealistic expectation to think that we will never put any kind of Coke in our kids' cups. Or to think that we could do the very best that we can and they don't exercise their own agency and put their own Coke in.
So just in this Coke analogy we're referring to, so the idea is you're starting out with a lot of bad stuff in the first one, and then we pour into the next one, and there's a little less bad stuff, a little less bad stuff, and then, like, there's kind of no bad stuff remaining. But it's as if to say we're starting over
Mm-hmm.
to remove all the bad stuff when there's so much more good from our previous generations we can take from there, that's not just like referring to the bad stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's about learning from the past and saying, yeah, there's some things we could improve upon, but it's also the past was very, very important, and we want to hold on to a lot of those really good things
Mm-hmm.
so that we can learn from that moving forward. I talked about my grandma playing cards, right? And I think things have changed over the generations in that we don't spend nearly as much time in just getting together and having that quality time. And our family has branched out a lot. So, like, my mom only has 2 kids. So it's different for us to get together there rather than before when we had another generation up. It was my mom and her 4 siblings and all their kids and even their kids. It's about focusing on the good things from previous generations and moving forward with those and not losing them when trying to improve and be better for our spouse and our children moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So can we talk about a few things that our parents did right?
So there's a couple things I want to talk about. My grandma, I already mentioned a couple times. So she actually died about a year and a half ago. And late last year, we decided we were going to start a tradition of getting the family together and playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've done it once. I think we want to make a tradition, right?
Yeah.
And there were so many people that were just so thrilled we were doing that. And we had 4 kids, including a very young one.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you host things, it was a lot for us to take on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of those people notice that and they're like, this is really impressive. Like, we're really happy you did this. Like, they really made sure we knew that.
Mhm.
And we did get some quality time with a lot of people we don't see nearly as much as we used to.
Yeah.
And again, it's just about building that quality time and also carrying on all those good things from previous generations.
Mhm.
And the other thing I want to bring up that has been on my mind, and it's kind of weird to even bring this up because it's from my mom and my stepdad, who's no longer with my mom. I'll always remember this. Whenever they were leaving each other, they always got very, very close to each other. They'd hug, they'd kiss. Like it was an important thing
Mm.
that they were making sure they saw each other. They said, I care about you
Aw.
before they left each other. That's something I think we could probably do better.
Yeah.
But I think about the times when we're saying goodbye and it's like if we're separating, like let's just take the way things have been lately, it's probably because I'm leaving with a kid or multiple kids to take them to a sport practice or game.
Mhm.
I'm already late because we've already been doing so many other things and it seems like we're out the door and we're like, "Okay, see ya." Like
Yeah.
it just seems like things are just rushed.
Yeah.
And we could definitely do a better job of, well, I mean, I guess we could do a better job of getting prepared to go. That's probably a lot on me. And then the other part of that is if you're already late, it doesn't matter if you're an extra 3 seconds late to let your partner know you love them, right?
I mean, that's hard for my brain to accept, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That is hard for your brain to accept because there's so many times when I'm like, another 3 seconds doesn't matter if
Yeah.
we are like letting each other know we care about each other or whatever we need in that moment. It takes 10
Mhm.
seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
And but it's me too. Like I've felt the rush and I'm like, I gotta get out the door. Bye.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think I really want to talk about that for a minute because I feel like our parents and our grandparents, I'm not going to say that they didn't have a lot going on also. They prioritized the people and the conversations that they had in front of them because there weren't so many other distractions. People were not on their phones all the time. The TV wasn't on all the time. You didn't have so many sports, so many kids' activities, so many like the kids were just outside playing. And so I do think that our thinking about things that like the generations before us did right, I think they had a better way of being present with those that they were present with. And they were able to prioritize those conversations. My great grandma, I spent a lot of time with her when I was growing up, and she would visit so many different people. If we got done visiting with someone, we'd be there for an hour, 2 hours. She'd be like, "Why don't we go see so and so?" And we would just pop by their house. And she loved to visit with other people. Her husband died when they were very young. I think my mom was in high school, and she never remarried. Even though she spent a lot of her life alone, she never remarried. She never seemed lonely because she had so many people that she visited, loved, took care of, knew about their lives. And I just think that that was a a dynamic of that time is there wasn't so much of a rush. Maybe I'm wrong because we're just in this now. We're in a really rushing like time of our lives.
we do have a lot of things, but I think one thing you and I always talk about is saying the word busy.
Mhm.
Like when people say, "Oh, we're too busy.
Mhm.
We're too busy to add this or to do that."
Mhm.
It's so rare to be that busy.
Mhm.
For us, in our case right now, we're spending a lot of time doing this podcast and other things. But like if some of our closest friends were to say, "Hey, do you guys want to do something tonight?" We're never going to say we're too busy.
Mhm.
If there's something that is like a time conflict, then we'd be like, okay, we have this, but what about tomorrow or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And so you're never too busy for the most important things in your life or the most important people in your life. And I do think that's something you and I have recognized.
Yeah, something you have always said and say a lot recently is you make time for what's most important to you. So if you find yourself with not a lot of time, look at what you're spending your time on because that's what you're making as most important to you.
Hmm.
And are you proud of what you're making most important to you? Can you maybe realign what you're spending your time on? Because I know I waste a lot of time on different things and it's easy to get trapped in that and not really like get time blindness, right? So yeah, that's something that I feel like we could talk more on, but our our generations before us, and I've heard this recently a lot too, is we were never meant to be as accessible as we are now. We were never meant to be a phone call away, a text message away, have the news readily available to us as we're like scrolling along. Information wasn't ever meant to be thrust down our throats. We were never meant to text everyone back, call everyone back, be there to pick up the phone. Like we were never meant to be as accessible as we are now. And I sometimes envy our previous generations for not having that added expectation, that added burden, I guess. So,
It is a strange time in which there's all this over analyzing of reading messages,
mhm,
responding within a time frame,
mhm,
and it's all ridiculous.
yeah,
And that's the biggest problem with our generation and moving forward is removing those distractions
yeah,
because that is a very difficult thing and that is a very valuable thing we can take from our previous generation. Again, I'm going to go back to my grandparents
yeah.
because every time I left their house, and again, I could have gotten there, like, let's just say I arrived at their house at 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm there until 10 p.m., which did happen sometimes, maybe not that often. But even if I stayed there for 12 hours and I said, all right, I'm going to get going, regardless of what time it is, my grandma would say, oh, you're leaving already? And I'm
Cute.
like,
I could see
yeah,
your grandma
I got to
saying
wake
that.
up at 5 o'clock and work in the morning. But it was always like, oh, you really have to leave now, you know? Sometimes that's difficult for us because if we have people over at our house, our kids go to bed at 8 o'clock.
Mhm.
And we notice the time. Like it's 7:40. We're like, we're happy to have you guys stay as long as you want. We're watching the time. So we've never put that out there to people, I don't think. But I do think having a lot of children, you are much more aware of the time.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I mean that bedtime, sometimes it can be an important time for us to get our quality time together also.
Yeah. Well, even when we're visiting your family or my family, it's like, oh, come on, we got to get going. Like, by the time we get home, we got to do nighttime routine. We got to get the kids down. So, like, sorry, but we got to go. We got to leave by like 7 because we want to get our kids home and in bed, you know? So,
Yeah, and it's probably not that big of a deal.
it's not. Yeah.
But there's always those times where it's like, okay, Kano had a really hard night, and we're thinking it happened to be the time we were out an hour
Right.
late.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's
So
definitely
it
consequences. So you
is difficult.
have to
All
weigh the cost, you know?
right, I got to say one more thing about my grandma, and then I'll be done. All right.
Oh, we can talk about your grandma.
So the other thing is, if you were on a phone call with my grandma,
Hmm.
anybody who knows my grandma already knows where I'm going with this, including you. If you were to say goodbye, then she would go through this whole thing like, oh, okay, well, take care, bye then, love you. And then she'd start all over a whole new conversation like, oh, did you hear about this? Did
Yeah.
you hear about your uncle? Did you hear about. And she never wanted to end that phone call unless she had people who were in the house
Mm.
already that she was visiting with. And even then, it was hard for her to be like, oh, I should probably get going. But it was always, I mean, she loved those moments. If I can talk to you on the phone and I don't have anybody here, or if I can get you to spend time with me at my house, there is nothing more important.
Mhm.
And again, like no cell phones or anything, and like just limited distractions.
Mhm.
I love the idea of taking a break from our electronics,
Mhm.
which is something we need to do more, and probably something we need to implement.
Yeah. I will say your mom is very similar to your grandma in that way though. When she watches our kids, she is very like attentive to what our kids are saying, what they want to do. She lets them lead. Like she's very, very present with our kids when
Hmm.
she's here. So it really makes sense that that's something that I do remember, even in the short time that I was able to know grandma. I do remember her being that way. If you were in her house, if you were trying to get off the phone with her, she really prioritized the people in front of her and the conversations that she was having. They meant a lot to her. And I see that in your mom too when she spends time with our kids.
Hmm.
So, something that I feel like was really special about my family that I feel like we've tried really hard to implement is family dinner time, family meal time. And, there was etiquette around mealtime that I don't know that every family had. We sat down at a set table, we had water glasses, all the food was in serving trays, serving bowls. We would pass things around the table. You weren't to reach over people. Like we would pass things around a table and we were to sit there until everyone was done eating. So you didn't even start cleaning up your plate until everyone was done. And so I feel like that was a really important special thing that my family did for as long as I can remember because we lived at my grandparents' house before we got out on our own and built our house next door. And so even with my nana and papa, like we had that. And I feel like we've tried to implement that. It might not be as easy with our young kids. It might not be as consistent, but we've tried really hard to implement family meal times being important and being present at the table until everyone's done.
So sometimes we got to get creative, but
Yeah.
we definitely try to prioritize that. We play the movie game. We'll quote
Mhm. Yeah.
lines from silly kid movies, and
Mhm.
we'll let people try and guess it at the table.
Yeah. One thing I didn't really understand until I became a mom because I would sing all the time. Like that was something I spent a lot of my life doing. And I would sing at the table and my mom would be like, "No singing at the table." And I'd be like, "Why? Why does it matter if I sing at the table?" And she probably was just like, "I need some peace. I need something aside from the singing." And now that I'm a mom, I can totally like understand that. Like, okay, please don't make that sound at this table. Please don't do that right now. Like, we want to be together. We want to actually enjoy being together. And mom needs just these 30 minutes of a meal for it to be somewhat peaceful.
At this state in our lives, 8-year-old down to soon to be a newborn, 4 kids, soon to be five, there are often times where there are four, maybe even more people talking.
Oh,
Like all
yeah.
4 kids will just be making noise. And it seems
Yeah.
like you and I are trying to communicate something important.
Yeah.
And then we're just like, we can't even hear each other and we're 2 feet away from each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are those moments where we're like, we need a little bit of peace,
Mhm.
one person talk at a time.
Yeah, but I think mealtime gives that
But
opportunity to learn that.
yes,
And that's why I feel like it's so important. And I don't feel like every family had that growing up. I feel like my family definitely prioritized that. And that's why it's been important to me to prioritize that for our kids and our family because there's so many learning opportunities for etiquette, socially being respectful to others, and like learning to take turns talking and connection by being invested in each other's day. Something my dad always would ask us at the dinner table is, "What'd you have for lunch today?" And he would try to guess what we had for lunch. And so like that's something I can remember as being a common topic of conversation when we were young kids, like in elementary school, you know?
And you enjoyed the guessing of lunch?
Yeah.
All right. One thing I would like us to be mindful of moving forward is the messages we're giving to our parents, because I do think it can be easy to critique the way you were raised when comparing to how you want to raise your children.
Hmm.
And I don't think we ever want our parents to feel bad for the way they raised us.
Yeah.
The whole world has changed since you and I were born.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so, us trying to do something different doesn't mean we think something in the past was wrong,
Hmm.
but I think it's a very different time in which there's this mass amount of information that's available at our fingertips at all
Hmm.
times.
Yeah.
And I think we are trying to do our best just like they were trying to do their best.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
us trying to raise our children to be good, decent humans is not to say you didn't do a good job of raising me to be a decent human.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's definitely worth mentioning. I feel like we turned out great. So there was so much good that happened in our childhood and our adolescence. But like you said, our parents did the best that they could and they loved us very, very much. And I can feel that even to this day. And so even things that we maybe look back on and say, "Oh, I won't ever do that as a parent," or "I don't like that as a parent," it's not to hold that against them. We don't know like their mental capacity at the time. We don't know what stress they had in their life at the time, you know? And I already know that there's things that I've done with my children that they're going to need to recover from. That they're going to need to say, "Mom, I did not like that when you would get overwhelmed and you would yell at us and you would get so frustrated about being late." I already know that that's going to be a conversation in the future with my kids, that I did not do everything right. And so, yeah, I hope that we don't ever give that impression to our parents that just because we're doing things differently or just because we are looking for resources outside of our parents' advice, that we don't not appreciate their advice, because we do and we have a lot of love for them.
Yeah, there's no perfect way to raise a child.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, we both turned out great.
Hmm.
And we've talked about several times how differently each of us was raised, also.
Yeah.
So, the most important thing is when you're raising a child, if you are taking time to make sure they know they're loved, you're spending time with them, you're doing a great job.
Yes.
And you are going to raise great kids if you do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean, they say that children are resilient, and I do believe that. I have to have faith in that because if not, the guilt that I would place on myself for not being this perfect parent or for yelling again or messing up again would be crippling. I would be drowning in self-guilt and be so upset with myself like, "Oh, I've ruined them for life. They're not going to be a good member of society. They're not going to be a good dad. They're going to be just like me in the way that they handle stress and the way that they handle their temper, all these things." But the idea that, like you said, if we are showing up for them and loving them as best that we can, that will prevail. And kids are resilient in the way that they can be so forgiving. I I see things in Striker and all of our kids, but Striker comes to mind specifically because I feel like he can be so compassionate and so nurturing. And sometimes I'm like, where did you get this from? Because I don't feel like I've given you enough of that. And I don't know, it's a testament to me that, like, even if I haven't always shown up in the best way for him, he's seen me in other ways. He's seen other examples from you, from grandmas, from whoever, you know? A couple other things that I like really appreciated about my childhood. I feel like my parents always had music on in the house. We were always dancing, singing. My mom always played music in the kitchen. Very diverse music. Like when my mom would leave and my dad was home, it was like a totally different vibe. And then my mom would come home and we would be listening to something else. Like we had all the different types of music on in our home.
Mm.
And when we'd go to see my grandma and grandpa, because they lived down south, like 6 hours away, my mom would like shake up this like bag of tapes, cassette tapes that they had recorded, and we would get to draw one out, and like that's what we would listen to, you know, because it's such a long drive. And I don't know, I really love that they always had music playing in our home, and it was always like singing, dancing, like being really fun together. And because I grew up singing my whole life, I think that's probably where some of that came from.
That was a time I never saw in your house.
Yeah. I
The
mean,
singing or the dancing.
even now, my mom's always playing music in the kitchen when they're like working and stuff. But you're right, you never really got to see what it was like on a Saturday morning when we'd just turn on the music and then we would be just hanging out, being crazy kids. My parents would be cleaning the house or working or, you know, making meals together, and us kids would just be running around the house having the time of our lives, you know. Another thing that I appreciate now as an adult is going to church on Sundays, and my parents never let us have like toys or anything until after the sacrament, which I know we've kind of disagreed on this a little bit because you're like, why does that matter? But I do think that those 20 minutes of just being still, kind of like the etiquette of being around the dinner table or being present with the person in front of you that's you're having a conversation with, practicing stillness in our kids is not a bad thing. In fact, I think they sometimes need more, not all of it. Like they don't need to go to school for 8 hours and be still, but to have those little increments of you're not being entertained, you're not being, you know, being rushed from place to place. You are just to be still is really good practice for them. And so Sundays, the sacrament, that 20 minutes at the beginning of church where you weren't allowed to have toys or color or have snacks, I mean, I think that that was something that really prepared us for being still and being able to feel the spirit, even though at 5, 6, 7 years old, I'm sure it was difficult for my parents to manage. It's difficult for us to keep everyone chill on the bench until after the sacrament. But it's something that I want to keep doing for our kids that I feel like our parents did right. So,
So I'll bring up one thing about your family. So that's a big difference between you and I in the way we were brought up. Is I didn't come up in a family that was active going to church.
mhm,
And I remember your family just approached things a bit differently with that background.
mhm,
And one thing I really liked was you guys as a family would decorate your Christmas tree and then you turn on the lights and it would be just the lights of the Christmas tree on and
mhm,
all the rest of the lights on the house would be off
mhm.
and you would all sing Christmas songs together.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it, but I felt very out of place in that moment
Mm,
because you guys sing a lot of like church songs that I didn't know.
mhm.
I mean, I know the first few lines in Holy Night, but that was about it. Silent Night?
Yeah.
What is it called? Holy Night or Silent Night?
Well, there's Oh Holy Night or there's Silent Night. So
Silent Night.
take your pick.
Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, my dad likes to end with that one.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
So I that was a really bonding experience
Yeah.
and something I definitely never experienced before in my life. But it was fun because I mean, we sang songs I hadn't heard, thought of, or sang since I was in elementary school.
Mhm.
But it was a very bonding moment, and I recognized how important it was in your family.
I do remember that one Christmas my parents let you sleep over on Christmas Eve
Yeah, when we
when we
just
were,
started dating.
yeah, maybe we had just started dating, but whatever it was, I just couldn't believe that they let you sleep over at our house on Christmas Eve. I was like, who are you? What have you done with my mom and dad? But that's how much they trusted you and just wanted us to work out.
I was your home teacher. Of course they trusted me.
Yeah. Yep. That was a special Christmas. What other things do you feel like you remember from your childhood or adolescence that you want to pass down or that you feel like your parents did right?
Oh, going to grandma's house all the time.
Hmm.
So it wasn't to the extent your family did, where you all shared a backyard and you got together every Monday and every made up holiday ever. But we did get together for like every holiday and pretty often outside of that.
Hmm.
And in the summertime, it was expected, I think, by my grandparents and my mom that I would go spend a whole week at my grandparents' house,
Mm.
in which time most of my cousins would come for at least a day, if not several days or the whole week while I was there also.
Yeah.
And that was a really special time. Who knows where our children will end up? They could all be out of state. They could be like, yeah, we don't trust grandma and grandpa to take our kids. I hope that's never the case. But
Yeah.
I do want to have a home where our children feel comfortable to come back to.
Hmm.
They feel comfortable sending our grandchildren, their kids to,
Yeah.
and it's something that our grandchildren look forward to.
Yeah.
Because I want to create that atmosphere of there is nothing more important here than spending time with you
Hmm.
when you're here. And like we can do anything. Like this is the place where you're going to come, we're going to have a great time.
Hmm.
And we're not going to worry about the dishes and whatever else needs to be done.
Yeah.
I just want there to be no worries and a place we look forward to going to.
Hmm.
Is
I can think of one that maybe you would want to talk about that I didn't experience, but I feel like you voiced to me
okay.
that it seems like your mom had a lot of trust in you when you were teenagers, when you would go to friends' house. It seems like she didn't mind you coming and going as you pleased, as long as she knew where you were at and you let her know like what was going on.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I've talked about this previously. Like when I was a kid, I was always in the neighborhood. I'm not sure if my mom ever knew where I was,
Mm-hmm.
or there was probably an expectation of us being home at a certain time. I don't know if that was when the sun is gone or what.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, even looking at the older years, like going into high school and that, it seemed to be let me know where you are and be home by midnight. There was a lot of trust there.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that even in your adolescent years, like your mom had a lot of trust in you.
Even if there shouldn't have been trust there. No, she is right to trust me, I think.
Yeah.
But we've talked about this a lot in saying, the lucky thing.
Oh yeah.
My mom always says that she was very lucky in me and my brother being very emotionally stable and just overall easy children.
Mm-hmm.
I think there might be a credibility to her for her creating a stable, trusting environment.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I would still love to know what the secret to that was and apply it a little bit more. But yeah, she just says all the time, like, I'm lucky I got such great kids and it seemed pretty easy to raise you guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have way more children. But, sometimes I think it's easy to think like, oh, what was it like when I was that age? And when did my mom get frustrated with me? Because there had to be those moments.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how easy I was, there had to be those moments. And anyways, I guess my point was, you put in the work with your children, you spend time with them, you trust them. I think trust is the big part that came from my mom there.
Yeah.
And that's something we could probably do a little bit better. Again, it's a very different time, but
Yeah.
I do think we could be more trusting with Stryker in, going out and do something he wants. And we could probably be a little more trusting with spending time with friends. And
Mhm.
but sometimes it can be hard when, again, you get all those notifications on your phone of Amber Alert and
Mhm.
all these other things.
Yeah. One thing I will say is with your dad's family, I feel like everyone is very loving and intentional and just wants to embrace everybody,
Mm-hmm.
which is really, really sweet. Because I don't feel like I got to know your dad's family well when we were dating and into early marriage. It actually came into later marriage when I really started to get to know your dad's family better. Like they have always supported us in the most beautiful ways. They're always, like reaching out and checking on us and invested in our kids and our kids' names and so
I'm so impressed. We went to a wedding last night on my dad's side of the family. I was so impressed with each of my cousins that were there. They all, at some point, voiced names of our kids,
mhm,
and I'm just like, how do you know
I know.
our youngest's name is Kino? Like, how do
Yeah,
you remember this?
yeah,
And they they do great. Like every time we're anywhere for that family, everybody in the family
yeah,
makes it a point to walk around and talk to everybody.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say too, is your dad's family is just very intentional
Mm-hmm.
by making sure you are seen and you get time with each person. Like they're incredible. So that's something that I've really admired about your dad's family. And I do remember going to grandma's a lot, and I do remember lots of holidays, lots of kind of like open houses, like with Halloween. We did chili and pumpkin pie, and it was just like, come when you can. We just want to see you. You don't have to, like, don't commit to the whole night. Don't come when other people are coming. We just want to see you. And there were a lot of holidays like that were just really low expectation, but like they still wanted to see us. I think by doing this episode, something we really just wanted to emphasize on is we had amazing parents who laid an incredible foundation for what we're trying to build now. And they had so many tools in their toolbox that were vital to them and important to them. And as the world has changed, as society has changed, as we're tackling things that they didn't have to tackle or they didn't have that weren't relevant to them, our toolbox is changing a little bit. We're finding new tools to implement. We're throwing out tools that are no longer relevant to us. And that's something really amazing. And we really couldn't do what we're doing if it weren't for the examples that were set for us. And we love them. And we have incredible parents and grandparents that continually teach us, support us, are there for us. And we really needed to make space for that. So,
So one thing I want to talk about is I do remember when we came home with Stryker. I don't know if people go into having kids more informed than us, at least than we were with our first one. We had Stryker. But I remember us having some moments of like, what do we do? Like, we haven't even
yeah.
thought about this
Yeah.
thing we're currently encountering.
Uh-huh.
And we placed a lot of value on insights we were given from your mom and dad who lived across the yard
Yeah.
and your nana and papa who we lived with when Stryker was born.
Yeah.
And there's a lot we took from that and a lot we've learned on our own that we've kind of applied, but they gave us a lot of information as a foundation to start raising children
Yeah.
because we were at a loss, and without some guidance at that time, who knows what would have happened. We could have looked up on the internet and
yeah.
said, who knows. All of our parents have a very important value on us not just as we grow up, but for the rest of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one thing that never really changes is you never stop being the parent in the relationship. And I think that's something we've seen from your parents and my mom. My dad's passed, but they always show up and
Mm-hmm.
they always continue to be our parents. They never come and they expect, like, well, you need to do this thing. You need to do this, like, because you're an adult now, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. In our next episode, we're going to be talking about our third born child, Havoc,
Mm-hmm.
and our reflection question going into that episode is, how did your family dynamic when growing up affect how many children you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
And I like that because you and I come from very different family dynamics. We've talked about today. You had 3 siblings, you were in the church. I was not active in the church. I only had my one sibling,
Mm-hmm.
but I also had a half brother in another state. And at one point, I had 5 step siblings.
Yeah.
So we'll come back together at the start of next episode and talk about how we arrived where we are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Thank you, honey.
And we look forward to our audience answering this question. We hope they take the time, and we hope to hear from them on some of the things they talked about.
Yeah, that'd be really special.
All right, thanks for joining. This has been the Chaos Commitment. Thanks for embracing the mess with us.
If you laughed, learned, or felt a little less alone, share this with a friend who gets it. Until next time, keep choosing each other through the chaos.